Hey, everybody, welcome to Leaders Lead. I'm Zach Husted, and I am thrilled to have Sean Georges with us tonight. Sean, man, it is an absolute honor. And you know what? You know how I know that we're on mission tonight? Is
No.
because
How?
there's been, for those of you who don't know, and I'm just going to share this little fun story, is if we were dating, this was definitely a game of endurance of playing hard to get. Be-
I was
yeah,
playing hard to
and
get. Yeah.
no, it's
Sorry.
it's super
No.
fun. I am absolutely thrilled
Uh,
to have you here today, Sean.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. And and all jokes aside, we've had some scheduling challenges back and forth, and
Mm,
the the fact that we were able to actually make our schedules align tonight collectively is just
mm,
phenomenal. Ladies and gentlemen, for those that are watching, Sean Georges is a distinguished veteran in the community. He is an HR leader among leaders. And I'm excited tonight to help him graduate into the Leaders Lead Alumni Club. It's an elite few so far, as we've started to launch this platform, and I'm excited to help him graduate through that and become part of the ranks of a new group of people. So, Sean, without further ado, can you introduce yourself to the
yeah.
to the Leaders Lead organization and the following and the crowd that we're starting to like? People are actually watching this now. My goal was, will one person watch it? And like, people are actually watching it.
Yeah. No, honored. So proud to be here, and please never take from the challenge of getting together that it had anything to do with. I love what you're doing. Let me say first of all, love the title, Leaders Lead, because in the civilian world, the we lose track of the verb lead. Everybody focuses on title and authority and well, what are you doing when you're leading, and what is your what are appropriate behaviors and appropriate perspective on leading, and that's been my focus after I left the Marine Corps, and in trying to bring the lessons learned, again, with all humility. Many of the things I've learned across life, both in the Marine Corps and in the civilian world, have been, based on mistakes, and watching carefully people who led well and who failed to realize they had a leadership responsibility. So, in any event, love the title, love your authenticity, and I'm just
Yeah,
honored to
thank
be
you.
here. Thank you.
Um,
Yeah.
thanks for being here. You know, um,
Mm.
I'd like you to introduce you though, right? Because I'm not going to do it any justice of because you have a
Well,
super distinguished career, and
I'm
I
not
I'm gonna
sure it's
overhype you because I'm a hype guy, and I'm not gonna let you get off the hook that easy.
okay.
So
Roger that.
don't be afraid to
I'll, I'll,
don't be
I'll
afraid
try
to
to
give
hit
us
some of the
yeah
high points.
give us an introduction of who you are.
You bet. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Kid grew up in rural Midwest, southern Indiana, which is where I now live. Uh, were my initial growing up, and then spent a large portion in a tiny little town that's barely on the map in central Illinois. So uh, got to got to do all the things as a child and a young man when it comes to sort of testing yourself and applying yourself in a, if you could chew gum and walk at the same time, you could play three sports at the high school I went to. So I did. Nobody stopped me, and did all the things, tried to apply myself. And I remember the conversation with my mother. I was about a sophomore in high school, and she said, "Well, you're probably interested in college, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "You realize we don't have any money for that?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "That's why I'm working so hard." So I managed to get a nomination and get accepted to the Naval Academy, and so went off to Annapolis. Again, as Annapolis to me represented something completely foreign, and I'd never even been on the East Coast, and the opportunity to test myself, figure out what leadership was really all about. High school football can teach you some, student government, probably not so much in high school. And so, okay, really, who am I? What are my limits? What am I
Yeah.
capable of? What are my strengths? I really have grown to believe in the value of experience and the value of the test. So I thought, well, let me see if I can run run at that level. And four amazing years at the Naval Academy, and was clearly drawn to the Marine Corps. About 15% when I was there, 15% of the graduating class can take a commission in the Marine Corps out of the Naval Academy, and that's where I was drawn. And I think largely drawn to the Marine Corps because of their culture, because of their view. I thought they had a very clear perspective and on leadership and what it meant to lead, and we can get into that in a little bit because it really shaped me very much. So, graduated from Annapolis, took a commission in the Marine Corps, and then 6 months at the basic school in Quantico, and went on to follow on school and Camp Lejeune, and then I always had this desire to be a lawyer, and I thought, wow, if I could combine, being a Marine officer and being a lawyer, that would just be a dream. And I managed to get picked up for the law program, so became a judge advocate in the Marine Corps, and University of Illinois Law School, and then later got an advanced law degree at the University of Virginia at the Army JAG School in operational law and law of war. So, I got to be a JAG operationally, Marine Expeditionary Unit, SJA, got to cross my time, got to jump out of perfectly good airplanes, and cold weather training in Norway at a NATO course. And I just, again, I always wanted the test. I wanted to, and I think that's an important. It's funny, today I posted something on LinkedIn.
I saw it.
It was a yeah.
I was
it
just going to bring it
poster,
up.
Marine Corps recruiting poster. Yeah, and the poster, has got this picture of this like gunnery sergeant with this look on his face, very menacing look, and it's like it says something like, the brochures below are free, but it's the last free thing you're going to get in the Marine Corps, kind of a thing. In other words, everything else besides this free brochure, you're going to have to earn. And I love that. I love that idea of having to sort of, because we learn about ourselves during the course of our journey if we're paying attention. Sometimes we go to school a couple of, more than once, make some of the same mistakes again. But along the way, man, you learn about people, you learn about yourself, you learn about how teams work. You come to an understanding about what authentic leadership is really about. And so I had the opportunity to kind of test those things when I left the Marine Corps as a major, and did so voluntarily in 1996. First Gulf War had happened, peace had broken out all over the world, New World Order and all of that stuff, and I was headed to the Pentagon, and I think I was just, I don't know why, it's one of those decisions that we sometimes regret, but I submitted my resignation then, and joined a private practice law on the outside, and then went in-house with a publicly traded company as their general counsel, and ended up being double-hatted. I was head of HR for that company, and so that went on for 22 years. So retired about 2 years ago, and so that's kind of the scope of the story. Lots of
Yeah.
twists and turns,
And
but
I mean, you don't have to
yeah,
say the company, but it wasn't a small company.
sure. Yeah, it was a fairly, in fact, grew from the time I was there. It was a retailer. We had about 100 stores, publicly traded, so you had all of
Hmm.
that complexity. We ended up at the end of 22 years, we had 400 stores, 6,000 employees in 35 states, Puerto Rico. So really an interesting journey. I remember when I was applying for this position, I was going. It was the first time they had an in-house counsel, and I remember interviewing, and I said quite honestly, I said, "Listen, I know nothing about the intricacies of a publicly traded company, but I can learn." I said, I don't know a whole lot. It was actually a footwear retailer. I said, I don't know a whole lot about footwear other than I know when I need a new pair of shoes. But I said, there are a couple things I'm pretty clear about, at least in my own mind. And one is what it takes to build a team and to develop the culture in a team. And secondly, I know who I am as
Hmm.
a leader. So if those things, can add value to where you're at in the development of this company, which was absolutely on a growth path, then I said, I may be your guy. But if you're looking for the subject matter expert who's, then I'm not your guy. So, I would say to the veterans out there, kind of in the transition or sort of thinking about that, is listen, know yourself, know your strengths, and own those, embrace those, and the rest you
Yeah.
can learn. It turns out, at least in my experience, that this business, this aspect of what it means to lead, and I'm not putting myself on a pedestal, but we learned some things
Yep.
along the way, and those things matter in the civilian world. Leading, and we'll probably get into this. I've got a pretty clear picture, at least in my mind, of what it means to lead. But when you lead as a servant in with a mission focus, it all people
Yep.
respond, and it all falls in place. So
You're absolutely right,
yeah,
and I love that. Um, Before we go into any of the questions or any further,
yeah.
tell me about home, because I know it's not just you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm married. I've got a stepson and two stepdaughters, and my wife works. This was a marriage later in life. She's stood up a women's boutique. So again, something I know nothing about. I ended up doing a lot of shiplapping and
That's
things like
awesome.
like things that I've never done before. But so that's kind of what's going on, and I am. We can talk about this more later, but I'm uh, doing leadership coaching and leadership training and doing keynote speaking.
Awesome.
Yeah, when
That
invited.
that's fantastic. And one of the things that you didn't mention on top of all of that is you're also tipping your toes into the nonprofit side.
That's right. Yeah, recently that one of the things I'm doing that I'm really excited about. I'm now serving on a board. We stood up an organization. It's called Mission First, and some local veterans. We just purchased about 90 acres of land, undeveloped property with a lake on it, and we are going to stand up a group of buildings, including a main cabin for meetings, and we're going to conduct and develop programs to serve veterans who are both, having a challenge in the transition to the civilian world, and we all know
Yep.
what that was like. We've all got our transition story. And where this is really, we hope, is going to be a national asset. We call it the sanctuary, and we're now, we're in that startup mode. But one of the things, Zach, that I think is common to all veterans is this, and whether we had it before, maybe we had it before a little bit, but boy, it certainly got developed. Was this sort of need, this we identify as servants. We are mission focused servant leaders, and in my opinion, until you kind of get back with a tribe and kind of realign with that, with a purpose that's greater than you, it's hard to, even if it's having a healthy family or being involved in your community or running for office or starting a business but that heart, that service heart and that service orientation is just, something that I think we all have to plug into. And so I'm really honored to be a
Yeah.
part of that. Yeah.